Part 3 of the Mayweather Pac breakdown. John's Irish Boxing, WeatherForTexas.com. Guys, let's talk about defense. Mayweather's shoulder roll. When you roll your shoulders, designed to protect punches that are thrown by. Most effectively, it's used to guard against punches that are thrown by an orthodox fighter. And it's the orthodox right that this easily works on. And, you know, with Manny Pacquiao being a southpaw and Mayweather using his shoulder roll, a fast straight left will land right on Mayweather's chin. And right down the middle. If he was in a stationary position, if he uses it as a defense. But Mayweather knows that, you know, and he rarely uses it against southpaws. But historically speaking, if you look at Mayweather's fights against southpaws, his best friend in these fights, his best asset, has been keeping distance, and his footwork more effectively, keeping distance between him and this other fighter. And as fast as Manny Pacquiao is on his feet and the footwork that Pac has, this isn't going to be an issue, and it's not going to be an easy win for Mayweather, because Mayweather's not fighting guys like Guerrero or Ortiz, who are both southpaws, who have this slow footwork. You know, he's fighting a guy who has better hands than both of these guys, and he has astonishing footwork. You know, looking at the Zab Judah fight, thinking about the notable southpaws that Mayweather fought. Zab's not known for having quick feet, but he's got fast hands and a very good jab, and which he landed it on Mayweather a few times. But he's not a very active fighter, and he's not a very mental fighter, and both of which you cannot say about Pacquiao. Pacquiao's got this in and out, pop in, pop out kind of style, kind of general defense, and you can't compete against it most of the time. And the thing about it is when he does this, he's starting and beginning his attacks out of range, bouncing in range, completing his attack, and moving himself out of that situation. And the whole time he's doing this, he's moving his head, circling it in and out of the way. And despite what people say, you know, people say Pacquiao doesn't have a defense. Well, you know, he does keep his hands up when he has to. But when he's being reactive, you'll see him move his head to the left and to the right. And then you'll see when he's moving his head to his right, you know, I'm watching the video right now, he slips his head to the left and to the right, which he kind of uses as a feint, but at the same time he's doing that, his feet are working so hard. And what's happening is it's causing problems for the guys he's fighting, because they can't hit him hard enough to do anything. And to land these shots, they have to be committed. And when they commit to these shots, they open themselves up to counter punches. But that's one thing that Mayweather has shown us that he knows how to do. He knows when to get out of the way. He knows when to get into the way. But the thing that you have to understand is as a boxer, when you're facing someone like Mayweather, who's a master counterpuncher, you know, you have to guard yourself against the tactics that he uses. You have to become proactive and reactive at the same time. I alluded to this earlier, proactive and reactive. You know, you want to push the face of the fight. You know, one of the rules of the laws of power is, 48 laws of power, is to be the guy behind the scene, not be the guy calling the shots. So if you can make your opponent think that you're not calling the shots, that you're being reactive to him, and at the same time push the pace and have this fight planned out, and this plan work into your favor, worked out how you planned it, this is going to be a big thing in this fight. If we're just looking at the feet, Pac's foot speed is way, 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 way more than enough to close the distance that he needs to in this fight against Mayweather. Maidana. Looking at the Maidana fight I'm watching right now, he's got pretty quick feet, and against the fight against Mayweather, he was able to close the distance with that. So why wouldn't Pac be able to? Looking at the Algieri fight, historically speaking, Mayweather likes to put his toes against pressure fighters. But he can't sustain it against a highly active fighter, especially like a fighter like Manny Pacquiao. Because if you look at the Algieri fight, he couldn't sustain it. And even though he knows how to hold the ring, he knows when to attack, and he knows when to let go. But I think that if you're talking about the biggest attributes in this fight, you have to look at one of the things that Mayweather has going for him is his speed. The fact that it's hard to land a shot on Mayweather is because he ducks and he dodges so many punches in the fight, and even though he doesn't knock his opponent out very often, the punching percentage is higher because his challenger misses so many. Mayweather does have endurance, but not like Pac. I think that this is going to be a major game changer here for Pac, is because as far as age and age and stamina go, I think Pac's got him, and I think that, don't get me wrong, Maidana isn't Pacquiao, and Pacquiao isn't Maidana. And if Mayweather were to face Pacquiao, he has a lot of work to do, right? But, Mayweather's a technical boxer. He's only had one knockout. Regardless of what you have to say, Pac beat Algieri, and with that that was his 57th win, by the way. But even though Mayweather is ranked and rated as the number one boxer in the world, you can't dismiss Pacquiao. Pacquiao is named the fighter of the decade. He's been named fighter of the year. He's actually been named fighter of the year twice. Mayweather has, not Pacquiao. But I think that something that you have to remember about Pacquiao is that he is a southpaw, and many boxers have their biggest problems facing southpaws. Now, whether Mayweather's scared or not isn't a question. But if you look at it historically, he does not fight notable left-handed southpaw fighters, and you can say that it's because he hasn't taken the fights or because he's cared more about his record, but at the end of the day, Pacquiao is facing Mayweather regardless of size or record or whatever. But both these guys just use their skills in different ways. I think it's pretty unfortunate that we couldn't get this fight 5 years ago. I would have had a completely different opinion about it. But, I honestly think that this fight has the potential to go to 12. And at the same time that this fight has the potential to go 12, there's no way. There's no way this fight's going 12 rounds. And I think that's a feeling that a lot of you have told me on here, is that you feel the same way. I mean, if you look at Mayweather's fights, his he's got no draws. Keep that in mind. He's 47-0, 48-0, 49-0 by this point. But you know, I gotta tell you that a statistical analysis of this fight can't predict this fight. Just like, you can't predict anything. All you can do is have an opinion, and everyone's got an opinion. But I see this fight going 12 rounds or knockout in the first, second, or seventh. And I have my reasons for that. We can talk about that in a later video. But what you have to realize is that neither one of these guys is faced. I can't underestimate this, and that's the reason that this is going to be one of the most dynamic fights that I've seen in a long time. Has the possibility to be explosive, as far as entertainment value goes. As far as, it just has so much potential, in their current state. Not 5 years ago. I mean, this fight in these guys' current state has the potential to be a dream, finally come to pass. Two of the world's best boxers going nose to nose, taking each other's dabs, and seeing who sticks out through the bell. Looking at current records: 46-0, 26 knockouts. Pacquiao, 57, 5-2 with 38 knockouts. Slightly higher knockout percentage, and I think that it is my hope for this fight that it is everything that you hope it is, everything you want it to be, and it's not a letdown. As I said before, when you're fighting an orthodox fighter, your right hand is putting away jabs and hooks from your opponent's left, and your lead shoulder rolls off all the right hands. But against the southpaw, his lefts are longer, his blows are more powerful, and they're not as easy to stop with your glove or to parry, because they come in from different angles. And this fight matters in a way that most fights don't. And everything about it is what makes it do that. This fight matters in a way that most fights don't. Because you can't say how it's going to play out. You can't predict how either fighter is going to react. And you can't take into account all the things that makes these two fighters special, because there's no two fighters like these guys, and even after all these years, we haven't seen what could be one of the most compelling fights of all time. And I think that it's important to keep in mind that these guys did not get to where they are not studying their opponents, not taking into consideration everything they could. But I think it's going to be not so much a stylistic clash of orthodox fighter against the southpaw fighter. I think that the things that we're tending to focus on, I've read a lot of reviews in getting ready for this. I've read a lot of interviews, read Tyson's prediction on the fight. I read Atlas's prediction on the fight. And I think that what you're focusing on with everybody's power shots, everybody's everybody's strong points, everybody's weak points, what's everybody going to do? I think that this fight is going to show you a lot more about the advantages of being stylistically sound in yourself, and the advantages of being receptive to your opponent, and not only being receptive to your opponent, but the ability to adjust to your opponent. This fight is going to do a very good job of showing you what can happen when you exploit that characteristic, or you take that route in a fight. What I meant by proactive and reactive is, proactive and reactive, making adjustments, pushing the pace of the fight while making adjustments. This is going to be an important thing in this fight and something to watch for. Because both fighters can just sit there and throw shots. But even though you guys who want to see, you guys who commented, it's going to be toe-to-toe stand-up, it's just bang it out, I don't think it's going like that. These guys are so good and so dynamic that they will figure out something about the other. Whether they already know it or whether they have to get into the ring to figure it out. But it's going to be the setup counter punches. It's going to be your counter punches that make this fight. It's this is by no means a normal fight. It's my hope for this fight that it is everything that you wanted it to be and more. And we'll see how this video is going.